From beautiful Jerusalem, welcome to this week's episode of Something for Shabbos on the Schmoozing podcast channel with me, David Goodwin, and Rabbi Menachem Salasnik. We're back with another parsha. Wow, I said a few weeks ago, aren't we lucky? But we really are.
We are.
Okay, this week is
Beha'alotcha or 𝗿𝗏𝗺𝗺, depending on how you pronounce it.
Depends on your flavour.
And the truth is that to have a summary of this week's parasha would probably take us the full thing. So let's just quickly run through. Starts off with the command for Aaron the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, to light the flame. Beha'alotcha means when you raise up the flame, to light the menorah every day. And then it talks about the role of the Leviim and the inauguration of the Leviim. It talks about something called Pesach Sheni. That's for those who weren't able to do the first, to bring the Korban Pesach, the Pesach sacrifice to the temple in the correct time. In Nisan, they're given a second chance. It's all about second chances with Pesach Sheni a month later. We then go on to talking about the slip-ups that the Jewish people made, that the Israelites made in the desert, complaining about lack of meat, running away from Mount Sinai.
The start of the historical complaining of the Jewish people. Yes. I think that's where 𝗥𝗯𝗄 first found itself.
In Hebrew, it's called nirganut or nirgonis. This sort of, you've always got to find something to complain about.
Right.
It's in our genes. And moving on, new judges are appointed, prophets, people prophesying, even though it wasn't really seemingly their place to do so, and ending up with the story of Miriam speaking badly about her brother Moshe and her getting tzaraat, this thing which probably isn't leprosy, some sort of spiritual but physical illness.
Manifestation. Perfect for your book.
Yeah.
Like that's an easy one.
This is very easy. In fact, I think if we're going to concentrate, if you've got me in the chair,
absolutely,
we need to talk about the story of Miriam. And there's so much that the sages learn from this story. In fact, in our long discussion about the book, we talked about it a little bit.
That's right.
But I want to bring up another factor, which I think is really, really important to understand the laws of lashon hara, or what negative speech about somebody else is really about.
That we learn out from this episode with Miriam.
Exactly.
Okay.
So in the middle of it, we're told that Miriam spoke about Moshe to her brother Aaron. And then we're told that Moshe was the most humble person in the world ever.
Ish anav me'od.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ish Moshe anav me'od mikol adam. And it seems completely out of place. It's not really particularly relevant to the story. So why is it there? The sages explain that Moshe was so humble that it actually didn't bother him that somebody was speaking about him. Okay, it's fine. It's not like I'm sort of riding some arrogant high horse here and somebody spoke about me. How dare they? Moshe was okay, it's fine. What we see from this is an extremely important rule. And that is that when you say lashon hara about somebody, even if they don't care about it, it's still not allowed.
Oh, I see. Because if it doesn't directly affect, still can't do it.
That's right.
So that makes it more about the person.
Exactly. That is the crucial aspect. My Rabbi 𝗿𝗏𝗺𝗺𝗺 takes it further. He says, even if the person you're speaking about would actually be completely overjoyed.
Wow.
By that statement. So, for example, I'll give you an example. Yeah, let's say you were a member of the religious Zionist group in Israel, okay? Which you are.
Well, I'm a member of the Jewish group in Israel. We're all Jews, but... That's
true. But we do break ourselves into different sects.
Yeah.
And you know what? I personally don't see that as a problem. Right. Everybody's allowed their opinions.
Wherever floats your boat.
Exactly. So let's say you're part of that religious Zionist community, which I respect. But let's say I didn't. Let's say I look down upon you because of that. And in my mind, the term religious Zionist is actually a negative thing.
Wow.
Okay? Now, but you'd be proud of it. You'd be proud of being called a religious Zionist. You're religious. You're a strong Zionist. You have a picture of Ben-Gurion just behind your head over there.
Right. That's right.
So it's something that you're proud of, But let's say in my mind it's negative. And I go to somebody and I say, you know, David, did you know he's a religious Zionist? Now, you'd be overjoyed by that label. You say, yeah, I'm a religious Zionist. But when I communicated it to somebody, I meant it in a negative way. I've said lashon hara. It's got nothing to do with you. Even if you'd be overjoyed by that, because when I communicate negativity to somebody else, I am destroying myself.
So this isn't about some weird vibe that goes out into the stratosphere, although probably it is as well, because it will boomerang, because now there's a thing.
It's definitely true that there's a spiritual aspect to this, and
which we can't really
exactly. Yeah. And we believe that our words create or destroy and do all of that sort of thing. We agree with that. But let's just talk on a much more practical level. If I am spending my life digging in the trash of other people, like building up or seeing negativity in people, then I'm destroying myself.
Okay, so really it is a self-determining position how you speak.
Yeah.
And the other person is less relevant in terms of the effects.
Less relevant
in that situation.
Yes, but of course, if I thought it was positive
to speak badly.
Let's say that label I thought was positive.
Okay.
But by speaking it out, I could cause you harm. That's also not allowed. So it's both sides. Obviously, if me saying something about you is going to cause you harm, physical, financial, emotional suffering,
it's no good,
so that's wrong because I'm doing something bad. And another level is even if you doesn't bother you or you'd be overjoyed by it, I'm still not allowed to do it because I'm harming myself.
What about if you have good intention, you don't realize how someone else is going to interpret it? How do you judge well when to say what to who about her or him? That's hard.
That's a great question. And the answer essentially is that we have to, in life, we take risks. For example, you get in a car,
take a risk.
Taking a risk. You're crossing the road, you take the risk. In our interactions with people, we take risks. You know, I'm going to say something to you. I'm going to take a risk slightly. How are you going to take it? Now, when we take that risk, we generally make informed risks. Okay? I'm going to be careful about what I say to somebody else in certain areas because I don't know how they're going to take it. So when it comes to this sort of thing, I have to read the listener. How is the listener going to take this? Sometimes I know the listener and I know how they're going to take it. Sometimes I don't know. And then what I have to do is I have to judge the listener based on the community they're part of. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Let's say I wanted to tell somebody that somebody got divorced. Okay? Now, getting divorced is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's actually necessary, good. It's one of the 613 mitzvot of the Torah for a man to give his wife a divorce document. That doesn't mean that I'm supposed to at some point turn to my wife and say, honey, we've done the other 612, let's complete the set. It doesn't mean that at all.
Right.
But it means that in a situation where two people have worked really hard and they are holding themselves back, right now they should find a good way. For me to tell somebody that somebody got divorced for no purpose, obviously there's often important purposes for people to know, what to say and for people to know not to put their foot in it, of course. But for me to tell that person for no purpose that somebody got divorced, so I may not look down upon them. I think it's right for them. I think, I don't judge.
Right.
How's the listener going to view it? I need to think about, if I don't know how the listener is going to view it, I need to think about the listener within his society. How does his society view divorce? Unfortunately, if you look around, there are many people who are very judgmental.
Right.
And because I don't know whether this person is like that or not,
right.
I better be careful. I'm not going to say that information unless I have a real constructive purpose to do so. But I just want to end off because the end of the parasha is talking about that. But the beginning of the parasha, which is talking about raising up a flame. The deeper Hasidic sources say that this is not just talking about raising up the flame of the menorah. It says you've got to raise it up until the flame survives by itself. You've got to keep the wick. The Kohen Gadol has to keep the lighter there until the flame rises by itself, so that when he takes it away, it continues to light. The deeper Hasidic sources say that it's the same when you speak to a person. We have this gift of speech, and we can use it to build people, to, ignite that flame inside of them and build them up.
Raise them up and raise yourself
And yourself.
up.
Mm-hmm. And what we have to do is we have to keep it there until our job is to keep, complimenting, let's say, children, complimenting the children, building up people around us until they have been built enough that they can then continue to rise by themselves. I think the contrast of those two ends of the parasha was really beautiful.
This show is brought to you by Dream Digital Art, the place to buy the coolest Jewish and Israel-related art pieces and products. As a schmoozing podcast fan, you'll get 10% off your online order with the promo code shmooze10.